UP wants to change on their side, though. Another Janna ban actually coming through there. So, again, keeping that peel support away from Love CD.
And it's not that Love CD can't play Janna, because he very much can, but I wouldn't consider it a primary threat from him. I'd still like to see him more so on his Morgana and his Thresh. He did play well on Thresh last game. So, again, it kind of speaks to unlimited potential. The fact that they don't want to allow a reset champion, that, again, they want to go for a hard engaged composition, which is what we saw last time. But when they pulled the trigger, it didn't pull it as cleanly as they would have liked.
No, do have first pick, though, so can try and set up something for Amy. Gragas being the immediate champion that comes to mind. Fizzband out there for M3, so taking that power pick that we've started to see a little bit more recently, especially off the board here. Important to note that Punish actually playing again here, so not going to sub those mid laners out. They'll be doing a lot of that there as well. Alistar the ban once again, so UP, I think 2 for 2 on support bans in games.
There's Alistar is a very common ban, but the fact that it's Janna and Alistar, that so much is being taken away from Love CD, or that they're deciding to put Heart on either Thresh or Nautilus. I don't know. I feel like since they're on blue side, they could have looked for a first pick there as opposed to limiting their bans, especially when Looper, Condi, and Dadair have all shown themselves to be big threats for the team, that they're not getting any love in this ban.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm almost expecting UP to first pick Thresh in this situation with Gragas.
I think they want Rek'Sai.
I mean, they definitely want Rek'Sai, but M3 have already banned Gragas. They might not give him Rek'Sai in this situation, and I think Condi would be reasonably comfortable in Sejuani if that's what it came down to. But 10 seconds left here for the final ban for unlimited potential. What do they want to take away? They do decide on Dade's Cassiopeia.
So pulling that out from under him, we'll see if Dade decides to go back to Azir, maybe have a little bit more luck, or maybe he'll look towards the Varus. I'd love a Dade Varus.
I would love a Dade Varus also, but Punish played Azir relatively well. The matchup's probably even worse for Azir than it is for Cassiopeia that we saw in game number 1. M3 have a lot to think about with this last ban here, to be honest.
I would ban Rek'Sai.
I think I would as well, because you know they're going to pick it. Instead, it's Kalista taken away from Scat, but also somewhat from SMLZ. And UP, I'm surprised they're thinking this long. I would just snap off Rek'Sai.
Yeah. Kalista has a big ban rate in China. A lot of AD carries are very proficient on her, especially Scatch. He likes to have that carry potential. Of course, last game played the Sivir. Not quite to the success that we've seen normally from Sivers in the LPL, but Kalista is definitely a huge threat for him. And that's surprising.
That is surprising. Hecarim sort of taken away from Looper, but going into the top side for long. Hecarim's a great pick, don't get me wrong, but these are great picks for M3. Even just what they're hovering right now, I'd be very happy for M3 if this was my draft. And there they go, Thresh Rek'Sai.
Wow. Love CD, comfort champion for him, obviously picking up the Thresh, every shiny support in general. Condi gets back onto that Rek'Sai. We talked about how that should have been a power pick, and I expected that Amy would look for it. Instead, they denied the Hecarim, and unfortunately, Looper doesn't have the greatest stats on Hecarim. Like I said, he finds most of his success and his impact on Gnar and Lysandra previously when she was a big pickup. So, again, so many bans kind of targeted more towards Love CD and to that support champion pool, and then they first pick away from a champion that Looper really hasn't performed on.
And Nar's open, and that's a decent matchup at least for Looper, which is great in the top side of the map. UP, you can see, sort of struggling to consider their next few options. Not a whole lot left, lots of support bans, lots of jungles picked away. Evelyn locked in for Amy, and Heart's going to take Braum. Yeah?
Yep, that happened.
I mean, no one else can see your face but me, but that was a very blank look you just gave me, and I agree. I mean, UP sort of have to pick up the pieces from this draft, though.
Okay, so Braum is a really interesting pickup. I'm curious what ADC they're going to pair him with. Typically, I would think it's going to be Lucian, just because Lucian's going to be able to proc Braum's concussive blows, I believe is the name of his passive, just because Lucian can double tap, quickly get the 3 auto attack and get the added stun and magic damage break on there. The thing about Braum, though, is he has a very weak lane phase. I mean, his level 1 is powerful because he can threaten with his Q, and if he slows you down, again, it's the added magic damage, the stun on top of it. But against Thresh, it's not the best matchup.
No, it's a big Heart champion. He really likes it. But interesting stuff coming through. M3 going to keep it actually pretty simple. Looper going to take Maokai instead, which is interesting given how good of a Gnar game he just had. But I do like the Sivir pickup from SMLZ.
And Sivir Maokai is very potent. Again, the lockdown potential. Again, this time Master3 loading up their composition. They're going to press R. They're going to pull the trigger. Look for the Righteous Glory Maokai. But I agree. I think Gnar would have been just as feasible here.
I wonder what Dade actually takes in the mid lane here, but we'll find out in a second. He will get the last pick and the counter pick for himself, but you can see Scatch, he wants to do something aggressive into the Sivir, considers the Draven, but takes Lucian into it instead, and actually Punish going to take Cassin, and he's played quite a bit of this so far.
That's pretty much his best champion. Whenever Apollo, or formerly known as Apollo, now Punished, is at his best, it's when he's on that Cassid, and he played it a lot in the LSPL, so good to see him taking up his comfort pick, see if he can put the carry pants on. And likewise, they've kind of split up their power specs. The fact that Cassid is going to roll into the late game, I like to call it the baton. So Early game, it's all about Sketch. He has the baton, he's got the mid-game power spike for Lucian. Late game, he can nicely hand that over to Punished.
Yeah, and maybe even long as well. They've got good carry potential here for both sides here. Do like the hover there from M3. We've seen success from Dade's Vladimir so far. They do need a high damage mid laner, so they'll give Dade his Vlad.
And I really like the synergy between Vlad and Sivir. So the thing about Vladimir is it's really hard to do a front-to-back engagement on him because obviously you don't just let Vladimir walk up to you if you see him coming and allow him to pop his ultimate. He has to look for those flanks, and the On the Hunt really allows Vladimir the speed and the mobility to get into that back line to make sure that he can get a nice pool across everyone.
But importantly, just giving Looper the chance to dive in there as well. We've seen Vlad, especially Dade, and he has Ghost as well, just hit all of the movement speed and literally run at the AD carry. So we'll see if Dade can get it done today here. But again, interesting draws for both sides. We start on the top side, Hecarim versus Maokai.
We talked about this. We thought it was going to be the Gnar. That said, Maokai is not going to have an awful time against Hecarim. It's mostly just about that hard engage.
No, and Amy might be the one to really have to show us something here. Everyone into Rek'Sai is curious as we move to the mid lane now as well. Two strong champions for both these mid laners, Kassadin into Vladimir.
Punished, really well known for his Kassadin. Dade has recently, again, his champion pool expanding, has shown comfort on Vlad.
Yeah, we actually have the reverse matchup here, I believe, from the AD carries in game 1. So Sketch this time will take the Lucian into SMLZ Sivir. And last but not least, Hart with, I would say, a trademark champion on the Braum versus Love City's Thresh once again.
See if it's going to count for him. We talked about how Lucian Braum is a very good matchup. Hart obviously finds a lot of comfort on that champion, but still relatively rough against that Thresh, especially if they decide on a 2v2.
Yeah, I mean, UP again sort of forced into some awkward decisions based on where the draft went. So I'm not too sure. I'm curious to see how it plays out.
It's really, again, a chase comp versus a hard engage comp. So Master3, it's all about using that on the hunt, making sure that they fight on top of the Vladimir ultimate because they're making use of the fact that it's going to empower the rest of the team. Whereas there's so much mobility, Kassadin, Lucian, and Hecarim on the side of unlimited potential that they can have more drawn-out fights.
Well, we'll have to see what happens here. We're going to get ourselves into game number 2. And we're back into the Rift here for the second game between M3 and Unlimited Potential. M3 find themselves up a game as SMLZ spots Hart and Sketch with a nicely placed Trinket Ward and very different team compositions. UP probably looking for a little bit of redemption, and for me especially, it's these junglers here. Condi back on Rek'Sai, that's maybe old news at this point, but Amy, with Gragas banned away and not maybe happy with his Sejuani performance, goes to Evelynn.
Now, we saw the rise of Eve when Clearlove pulled it out in the finals against SKT for MSI. He called it a counter pick. Now, the big thing to remember about Eve is just the paranoia that she's going to create around the map, the fact that you can't see her. So what teams need to do to ward against her, as opposed to spending a lot of their money into pink wards, it's to actually go and ward Eve's camps, because she comes out of stealth when she does the camps. Then you check which side of the map she's on, make sure that you play accordingly to that side of threat.
And you can see that UP have done a great job of preventing that, actually. Stacking up together, tracking M3 for the early movement and saying, you know what, you only get shallow vision here, you're not warding my camps.
And really figuring out where Evelynn is going to be starting as well is a big thing, because then you can kind of account for the fact of where she's going to have her double buff and where she's going to look for to gank first.
See Dade, a late Trinket Ward onto that blue buff. That will give him just enough vision of Eve going around there. So smart stuff for Dade to start off his lane. And I think for the first time in this series, we'll actually have standard lanes. Yep, standard lanes breaking out now as the junglers, or sorry, the top laners are doing their first camp by themselves.
And we talked about the 2v2 matchup of Sivir Thresh versus Lucian and Hart. And really, again, it's about the fact that Sketch needs to proc the concussive blows, and he does have the double tap to do that more efficiently than other AD carries. But if SMLZ can keep the wave push forward so that they're constantly having to clear creeps, and if there's more creeps in front of Braum and he's not able to hit that Q, that's pretty much the win condition for Love CD and SMLZ on an easy lane phase.
And then you can add Spell Shield in to complicate things. And it could be tough there for the bottom side of UP, but mid lane going okay. Dade, we've seen his Vladimir a couple times. Boots Potion or Boost Biscuit start here for Dade, and he's surprisingly bullied a lot of different laners on this champion. Despite being Vladimir, like, not late game, I get that. When you hit level 9, sure, things going great, but Dade does like to be aggressive in the early levels.
Punish with his mobility as well as those auto attacks. And of course, Cassidy doesn't have the easiest laning phase. It's alleviated a bit more because of the changes when he has his shield, but it's really just about sitting here and farming. Now, Vladimir is going to be more of a level-dependent champion, whereas Cassidy, yeah, he's dependent on his level 6, but from then it's stacking items.
Yeah, just wants to get going here. And last hit surprisingly well under turret. Dade going to do a decent job trying to harass him under it as well. And you can see Dade, he always picks this Vlad. Sometimes it's into weird stuff like LeBlanc, but he's gotten away with it and looked really good most of the time. And looking fine so far, at least in the early stages.
More importantly, though, Condi going for the Scuttle Crab. Curious if he's going to look towards the top gank after he's finished with that, or if he's going to go ahead and back and buy his jungle item.
I mean, this is one of the cute things about Rek'Sai as well. It's not really a counter, but you do get a bit of extra added value against a champion like Eve. If you sit in brushes and...
Because you have the Tremor sense.
You get to spot invisible champions. The first time I saw that against the Shaker, it blew my mind. So if Condi counter ganks correctly, he'll be able to track Amy much better than other junglers might otherwise be able to.
Direct counter to Rengar as well.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, it's real bad to use. All these champions just like, well... You're barred underground and I can't do anything. So we'll see how Conde can keep Amy under control, because Amy, after that Setuani game, he might even look for a warrior enchant here. We've seen Clearlove do it a couple times with Trinity Force as well as Punish. Looks to have spotted, or at least suspecting a gank's coming through, will back away as Condi moves in towards the mid lane.
There's no reason for Cassidy to be that far extended in lane. His creeps weren't dying, so it wasn't like he was giving up CS or experience. So makes the safe call, stands to the back of the lane. And again, this is a big comfort champion for him.
And Amy's done here as well. Actually, Heart's going to line something up. Heals used already. Love CD. That was a sick flash to dodge that Q. And Amy's gank is foiled for the first time.
That said, Amy does manage to get the flash, so still overall a win for Unlimited Potential.
Yeah, gets a couple summoners there. None burnt at all, actually, on the bottom side as Condi revisits the middle. Punish going to be forced to flash now as well. So successful gank in the bot for UP, answered by Condi in the mid lane.
Because they know exactly where Eve is, so they know there's no threat of a counter gank. More importantly, in the top lane, Looper is able to go aggressive and to really push long in and be that punishing Maokai, because he knows that Evelyn's on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and this is a matchup where Hecarim is usually happy just because he tends to get free farm and he does need to get his items and scale up, but can get abused in the early stages, and Loop is doing everything he can while he's strong to keep the lane in his favor.
And really the thing about Hecarim and how you play out his laning phase is because he's so fast with his devastating charge that it's not about sitting in the lane and farming as long as possible and buying big purchases, although you can do that, especially against Maokai, because he's not going to be so punishing, but more so against Anar, it's about using your mobility and your speed, although hold on.
Yeah, Dade, double mobility summoners, waits very late for the pull, but nicely done there. Even eats a Q there from Heart. Very cheeky there from Dade, but 3-man gank, no success, and Looper in the top side might try a 1v1. He's getting good damage onto Long. It's
about continuously using your devastating charge to quickly go and back small purchases and just abuse the fact that you can get to lane faster.
This was the other thing with the Smite build in particular for Hecarim. It's just that you can't go like assassin mode and just with your ignite buy your quick Trinity Force and then really get aggressive. So we usually see them go tanky, maybe even a quick home guard here for Long is actually going back for some quick merc treads.
Will miss a pretty sizable wave, or at least the front half of it, though. So Looper doing a great job denying as much CS experience as he can.
You can see those teleports just coming back up. So that first jungle camp they did, sort of losing them a bit of extra time, but Hecarim will run back to lane very quick with his boots too. Looper will return with his catalyst now as well. And Dade starting to get a little too low there, but Amy getting chased out of his own jungle by Condi.
And this also then allows Dade to be that much more forward and aggressive because they see where Evelyn is.
Smite battle nut have actually got them both up. The Raptor will leash, and Punish, you can see, sort of training himself towards the jungle side as well. Level 6, but low on mana is the Cassian, so not a massive threat, but Condi doesn't want to get involved in a Smite battle, wants to protect his mid laner instead.
And this is a little bit scarier. Of course, Punish doesn't have his mana, so he doesn't have the resources to really start to stick it to Dade, but the shift is about to happen, at least until Vladimir gets more points into his Q and he can get the cooldown lower on that.
Yeah, level 6 actually, so not doing too bad. Condi again going to sit in the mid lane and punish. He doesn't have his flashback up. Condi knows this, and he might not even have enough mana for Riftwalk, and Dade, he's trying to look so delicious here in the mid lane, but Punish is not fighting.
Showing him the leg.
Yep, he is, but it's just not happening. Punish instead going to ward up and go back and purchase his first big item. Catalyst probably going to be coming through here. No, Punish makes me a liar. Stays in the mid lane for a little while longer, but Condi's already backed off.
He must be really close on his gold value.
Yeah, I have to think so, and you can see, yep. I don't know what he wants exactly, but if it's Boots Catalyst, he's not quite there yet, I don't think. As Dade, he'll get forced back, but he'll finally go back and spend actually a good chunk for himself. 1,800 gold already up for Dade.
And let's talk about kind of where these teams really want to fight and when they want to fight. So we talked about the different power spikes as far as unlimited potentials composition is concerned. So obviously, Kassadin going to scale pretty well from mid-game into late game when he has his Rift Walk as well as his stacking items. Roa, a big part of that. Likewise, Hecarim is going to find much more strength as soon as he gets his Trinity Force. So it's really all about Sketch and Heart to make the early game happen for them, or that early game and transition of mid-game. So expect Amy to continuously apply pressure and kind of hang around that area.
Yeah, and he's going for Warrior as well. I have to think with that longsword in his inventory. Level 5 for Evelyn as well, so starting to get stronger as Looper. Once again, a nice trade in the top side, but Long with those Merc trades just going to try and, again, keep farm. If he stays 5 to 10 CS behind, that's perfectly acceptable for Hecarim in the matchup. And
on the other side for Masters3, you're really just waiting for SMLZ to get his BF sword now that he has the On the Hunt available to him before they transition to a dragon.
He has a really nice CS lead there as he just misses getting stunned up. In fact, going back for a couple more creeps, a little greedy there from SMLZ. In fact, LoveCity's abandoned him in this lane, and SMLZ, he really wants those creeps. He has 81 CS already, 20 up on Sketch. That's a very strong lane for the Sivir.
Yeah, you just have to remember that about 12 to 13 CS is effectively a gold, or a kill worth of gold value.
Yeah, so strong stuff there as Punish gets his blue buff. Amy going to donate that over. Now level 6 is Sketch. Bit of free mana there for SMLZ, going to shove out this wave, really making sure that he gets to back second and with more gold than Sketch, who's, again, going to look to go back. You have to think after using the culling. And Dada in the mid lane with his Hextech Revolver and his Null Magic Mantle. Going to be nice and comfy up against Punish Kassadin.
Punish actually has the advantage here in the lane. It's going to start to shift back against Vlad when he's level 9 and he has 5 points in his Q and he's able just to spam that consistently. There he goes. He realizes he's strong.
Blue buff especially there for Punish. Blasting onto his a lot from Pawn, actually. Loves to get it early and just try and get aggressive where you can afford to, because you don't get very many windows early as Kassadin.
Yeah, exactly.
And Sketch in the bottom side though, going to keep farming up. There's been a really big battle here, but SMLZ, he stayed a little too long. Amy with the ulti comes through, forcing the flash out. Q will land, Spell Shield and heal still there. And SMLZ, it almost cost him his life, but LoveCity going in aggressive. Condi's found his way in. First blood goes to Sivir of all champions. Sketch gets caught up there as well. Looper comes in and M3. Nice bait by SMLZ.
We talked about how Unlimited Potential would want to make the first move onto the bottom lane because that's where their kill pressure is. That said, a fantastic counter engagement from LoveCity on the flash play, and Looper getting involved in the teleport surely means that since that cooldown was, as I say that he's walking to the top lane, since that cooldown was used, that they're going to transition easily into the dragon since they have a numbers advantage.
You can see Long proxying in the top side, trying to get some more farm and deny Looper his. But Home Guard boots were completed for Long and had no good chance of teleporting with his ultimate, so Dragon will go to M3 there as well. They get the first 2 kills, the first dragon, and Looper's going to return just in time to protect his turret.
Just a really great read from Master3 to understand where priority was for Unlimited Potential.
And you can see the turret nice and healthy here. Again, SMLZ returns now exceptionally strong in the bottom lane. BF Sword, Pickaxe, and an Avarice Blade completed. Dade almost level 9 with a Negatron Cloak to boot here as well. The lane's starting to shape up very nicely for this squad looking for the 2-0.
And the question is now going to be for Masters3, are they going to prolong the lane phase and just allow Dade to continue to scale levels up for Vlad and to itemize, or are they going to try to group up together and make use of rotations with Sivir? I would suspect that they're going to prolong their lane phase just because A, SMLZ is farming so efficiently, and B, it's beneficial for Vladimir. But we'll see.
I mean, I think M3, it's so funny to think about Dade's current champion pool because, I mean, even his old champion pool, you think about the Zed and the Yasuo. Dade's someone that really likes to get his farmers. Actually, Heart might have been caught out here. Condi going to get in there with Heart using his Unbreakable, but it's not enough to protect him from SMLZ. Sketch actually going to be the next target now, as well as LoveCity trying to line up the hook, but instead that'll force Sketch away. Maybe just concede the turret here, and he has to be careful. They will dive him.
Yeah, unfortunately for Sketch, he wasn't able to use his Relentless Pursuit aggressively to double tap on Condi to try to trade 1-for-1. Had to use it to vacate the CC threat from LoveCity.
Yeah, and again, going to continue applying pressure here. Sketch will consider collecting what farm he can, but he doesn't have the culling, so this wave can't really do anything about it. No jungle pressure coming to help him either, so Sketch, bluff called there by M3. They'll pressure him off the turret and deny minions.
And Amy picks up the Evelyn, completely changes gears, and frankly hasn't been anything to Unlimited Potential. Hasn't really gotten a successful gank and has fallen behind, likewise also in jungle. So Condi making more happen around the map and farming his camps far superior.
You can see the Tremor Sense nice there against the Evelyn. Condi going to force Amy out of his jungle. I don't think Amy stole the red buff, which is what he might have been looking for there. And Looper and Long going to go at it once again, but Barmy Cinder now for Long again, going for those first early tank items as Condi visits into the top side. Looper still much stronger here, about 10 CS ahead of the Hecarim.
Don't think they'll go for a dive.
No. I mean, we've seen crazier things from Lupo
He's
especially.
actually pathing around because, okay, there he goes. So he's warding Evelyn's camps again. She has to come out of stealth to do the gromp. You see her come out, you know which side Evelyn's on, so you just play appropriately.
And LoveCD actually roaming now, so I like this a lot, applying additional pressure towards the top side of the map. SMLZ's been shown to be very self-sufficient in this lane because he doesn't feel that threatened, and Long actually going to get himself caught out in his own jungle. The Gromp ward coming up massive already, and LoveCD gets a much-deserved kill.
Juked back into the hook, although I think he was for sure dead anyway from the burn, yeah.
He died. Zade now going to pressure onto Punish. Condi and LoveCD going to visit in, and Punish says, really? Why is everybody here? Heart going to get the Q out onto Condi for a slow, but Dade will hoover down the minion waves with his Vladimir. And again, M3 continuing to invade the jungle of unlimited potential.
Knowing that they have the numbers advantage, they have the superior rotations here, dropping some deep wards.
Have to be careful. Don't have a teleport yet, as Long will be back with his if he wants to come in. But again, now only just with the Skirmisher Saber starting to ramp up. But Hecarim does need a little bit more arm time, I guess, to get himself to a really strong position. SMLZ goes back as an Infinity Edge now to join into the party. And you see Sketch, I think he just went to spend his gold, but a little short in his big purchase.
Perfect item timings. Dragon will be spawning probably within the next 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Don't quite have the timer for it. And that's going to be the next big stage for Master3, and this is really where their composition excels.
Condi takes the blue buff as well, finds Heart actually, throws a Prey Seeker as Heart really wants this war, but LoveCD might just fancy a fight. Amy's so flanking around the side, but Dade gonna charge himself in. LoveCD throws a lantern and gets SMLZ into melee range on top of Punisher's Heart, throws out the ulti, but Condi takes out Amy. LoveCD is dead is the trade. Bit of a weird one there, but just a 1-for-1.
Doesn't really mean much kind of in the long run.
No, I mean, Dragon not up yet, so the jungler being dead's not going to matter. Long actually walking down, but Loop is going to have his teleport back soon, so a bit of time. One actually in the top side, a slight win there for M3. You can see Hart, he's hanging out. I mean, he's trying to get some work done on the Braum, but you said it. Landing not so great, and you can kind of tell in the CS here between the AD carries. Scat has been constantly behind in this matchup.
Hart has been doing a good job, though, rotating and trying to be reactive to Master3 pressure, you know, as they move into the top side, as they move into the mid lane, and constantly making sure that he's there to support his laners. But Braum just doesn't have the threat in lane phase. It's really about his team fight.
Lupa going in onto Long, actually, with some good damage, but he's a real tanky at this stage. He actually hasn't gone for Righteous Glory. I saw the Catalyst, I saw the Glacial Shroud. He's gone Frozen Heart before finishing that first big speed item.
Well, he doesn't necessarily need the Righteous Glory because Sivir is on the hunt, is going to kind of compensate for that, so he's able to just go straight into the tank stats because, again, they want to set up for these Dragon fights, which Dragon will be spawning in 1 minute, so it's just that much more important that you have your MR, excuse me, you have your full armor item ready for you.
Bring back Rod of Ages. Unfortunately, haven't seen that one in quite a while, but Lupa going to be nice and strong in the early game and sort of help Dade bridge towards his late game fantasy as LoveCD looks for a hook, does not find it onto Sketch, but SMLZ will get the turret actually pressure, might answer back in as well, but instead we'll just back away slowly, get some more minions as Dade looks for additional pressure. Punish dives in there, Amy's flanked in as well, but Dade is so strong at this stage.
There's nothing Amy can do right now at this point in the game. He's just so brittle as Evelyn.
I mean, we've seen what Clearlove can do when he does get the champion rolling. He's going crazy. He's got Trinity Force, but a very different Evelyn game here for Amy, who's, like you said already, just stifled his normal aggression on a champion where he can actually be aggressive.
And this isn't what Amy's known for. He's actually known as a Kha'Zix Lee Sin type of player, so he's very mechanically proficient, but just kind of really changing up his gear and changing up his style in jungle, and it just isn't connecting for unlimited potential.
I mean, we've talked about Amy sort of struggling to adapt into the Cinderhawk manner. I think this series in general, even if UP go on to win this game, they've got a decent chance. Although M3, as I look up, that gold lead's grown quite a bit in the last few minutes, almost 6,000 gold ahead for M3.
And we talked about, is M3, are they going to look for the 5v5, or are they just going to wait for dragons and prolong the lane phase? Although, hold on, Hart.
Looking for a gank onto Dade. Good ward there from UP. Will spot him off. Punish dives in. LoveCD's here though as well. And you can see Condi's actually just above Braum on your mini-map. So
LoveCD ran into the mid lane because he wanted Hart to go in and be like, oh, 2v, or you think it's a 2v1, it's actually a 2v2, and then set up for Condi. It was like multiple layers of mind games. That
was gankception there, but M3 instead will just move in towards the Dragon and take it away. UP can't force anything right now. Yep, there we go. Goodbye, Dragon. M3 take their second. They look to be in complete control here, Frostgurren.
They didn't even try to use the teleport. They're like, this is fine, we'll just let it go. It's not the end of the world for unlimited potential. Again, we talk about the baton. You still have that casting threat. That's Punish signature champion. So They do have options late game, but the window of opportunity for them is slightly closing because if this composition continues to snowball ahead, Dade's going to meet Cassidy in the late game as well.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the late game threats here as Dade and Punish have a bit of a duel, but that's won by Dade so far. No, sorry, by Punish so far as Hart dives in. Down to the bottom, Sketch actually going to get aggressed on. SMLZ will clean him out. Teleports coming down in and both immediately cancelled because everybody realized that Sketch was dead. That was great.
It's fine, though, because they got both teleports, but now in the mid lane.
Oh, Dade coming in, sorry, trying to outplay Punish, but just gets a Hemo Plague down for a bit of poke damage. Fairly strong is Dade right now, but does need to go spend a bit of gold. He's racked up an ICS lead, but finally forced off his turret. Might actually lose it in the mid game, and UP will open up a little bit more space for themselves.
The trade, though, is not even at all. The second-tier bottom tower for the mid tower.
Lupa getting aggressed on. Long going to come through.
Good flash.
Q there from Hart. Great flash there from Lupa, but still has to kite away. Hart's popped his ulti. Stun will come through. Lupa stunned away. No mana. Arcane Smash keeps him alive, but not for long enough as Long finally claims a kill.
Burns so many resources, but will it transition into anything for unlimited potential? That top-tier tower is fairly low. We'll see if they actually commit to it or just leave it up.
Dade actually kept his mid tower alive as well. SMLZ looks to rotate in there and maybe even get aggressive onto this mid tower. Dade's done a good job sort of chunking it down, and Amy has to just leave the area. That's 4 towers now to 0 from UP.
Master3 have complete control over the bottom side of the map, not just in the fact that every single bush is warded by them, but in the fact that their creeps, because there's no second-tier towers, they're able to get that much farther down onto the through the lanes and down on the map, and with creeps comes passive vision information.
Yeah, and again, we talk about the scaling from UP. Who are the scalers on UP? Punish on the Cassidy and Long on the Hecarim. It's a nice steal there from Amy. We'll give a bit of a middle finger there to Condi, but he's still 2 levels behind.
It was cute, too, because he didn't see him because he wasn't in his, I call it land shark, trimmer sense.
He was not burrowed, yes.
Battleship.
Battleship mode. Sketch in the bottom side. Hart good positioning, and SMLZ. Sick instinct says, like, I'm pretty sure Hart's here trying to gank me, and Love City's going to rotate down, make sure he's safe.
He doesn't have any wards on his flank, and he does have some in the river, so was able to spot that one out.
Nice stuff there, and they'll clear out. Again, keeping these towers up for as long as possible. M3 have really elongated this laning phase, but that certainly suits Dade, a player that once would go to the side lanes and get some farm. Now he's decided, you know what, I don't even have to leave my mid lane now. This metagame's great.
But it also suits Long as well as Punished, and that's really who Unlimited Potential are looking to at this moment.
I mean, you look up at Lupa, though. Frozen Heart has been completed first. Righteous Glory now done as well. Condi's nice and tanky. Dade's got an Abyssal Scepter. 2 items done for SMLZ in an ages here for Love CD. The gold lead's already ballooned pretty substantially in this game. So we've got Baron back up. Dragon's going to be up in a couple minutes, maybe 3 or 4. M3 very soon are going to start pulling the trigger on a team fight.
A big 5v5 is just really out of the question for Unlimited Potential. Again, they need very elongated fights because it's about Cassidy being able to get multiple rotations on his Rift Walk, kind of chasing everyone down. They'll really thrive in Chaos with how mobile their team is, so it's very much more skirmish-oriented. But to do that, they need to prioritize their warding, which A, clean out their own jungle so Amy can get good flanks. And B, Evelyn needs to flank. Like, that's a big issue. We talked about how Vladimir, the synergy between her and Sivir, or him and Sivir, excuse me, he can't come front to back on a composition. He needs to make sure that he has that mobility. It's very similar of Evelyn. She can't just straight up walk to you. You're going to see her even in the stealth when she's at a certain radius. So you have to look for that flank so you can land that big 5-man ultimate.
Unfortunately, very tricky to flank when you don't have a single tower. We talk about space that the outer ring opens up for you. UP have pretty abysmal siege. And that's the problem. They can't create any space here for Amy to actually get the flanks that he wanted.
They have relatively thin wave clear as well. You're pretty much entirely reliant on Lucian, and that's mostly going to come from his culling.
I mean, might be looking for a static ship, but just a Zeal right now again.
I think he'll need a static ship.
I think so too, as SMLZ really far ahead in that matchup. Oh, 40 plus CS and about a full item if you include the Enchanted Boots and the Vampiric Scepter that is sitting there versus just IE and Zeal, and M3 really pushing their weight around here. Dragon back up in a minute 30. Baron available if M3 get a pick, and Condi actually might have been caught up, but Love City flays them away. Condi, pretty tanky, goes back in. Heart's going to get shredded down by SMLZ. Lupa jumps in there as well on the Hunter's pop, and they'll just dive straight in. Amy, lucky to be alive at this stage, but Dade's dived into the backlines. Double kill there for Sivir. Sketch is almost dead as Long gets a massive ulti. SMLZ taking the turret aggro might be their undoing, but Hecarim goes down, and it's a 3-for-1 win for Master3.
And this is the issue. We talked about how unlimited potential they needed to look for skirmishes. They thought they got one right there. A fantastic teleport from Looper into the top lane to make sure that he's there with the righteous glory, but they don't have the vision necessary to figure out where entirely Master3 are. They cannot commit to a full 5v5 because they just got run over.
Yeah, and maybe the good news here is that the tier 2 tower is the least that they'll lose after that exchange. SMLZ sort of randomly taking turret. I go, let's just watch it again.
Okay, but here's the thing. Like, I know we're all looking at the team fight and all of the murder that's happening on the screen, but the thing that I want to point out is that there's defensive pink wards down in Masters 3 jungle, clearing out that that ramp. So when they walked into the Baron pit, they really didn't have any idea how many members of Masters 3 were going to be there. You
can see, yep, SMLZ takes up the turret vision. Punish is in a bit of trouble, but like you said, just too far behind to get anything else done. And only losing a turret is good news, but the Dragon's back up in 10 seconds, and that's where M3 look to next.
That awkward moment when you have a replay and you're like, but look at the pink ward in the back bush.
Hey, they're great pink wards, man. I mean, flanking pink wards against Evelyn, that's exactly what you want.
It's the one on the ramp underneath the red tower.
Yep,
just or red Baron
just
Dragon.
M3's buff. Red Baron Dragon buff. Jeez, that sounds great. Heart caught now though. Condi gets the unborrowed. Looper dives forward. SMLZ is doing ridiculous deeps as punished. Roof walks himself out there. M3 get a pick. They're going straight to Dragon. Maybe make it too long. Good juke of the hook there as he gets out from under the death sentence. But Condi, relentless in his chasing, finds Amy, gets the smite. Unborrow in there as well. And Evelyn, not enough defensive stats here with all this damage. Looper dives in. SMLZ really wanted to steal that. They group here to huddle for that culling to protect their carry. Take the red buff away as well, and M3 just unleashed in this game.
You know what champion would work fantastically for unlimited potential?
Which champion?
Janna.
Why?
Because they need the reset. So unfortunately, they don't have any wave clear, they don't have any disengage. They have a lot of mobility, so yeah, they can all kind of advance in the opposite direction together with Relentless Pursuit, Rift Walk, things like that. But what they really need is they need a way to push Sivir away from them, because the on the hunt is just so punishing.
Yeah, you can see Condi got the Dragon there as well, and I agree. Kind of an awkward Janna ban there. I know it's a champion that Hart plays here as Long executing himself, I guess. Kind of smart play, actually. Long will die and not give up any gold as he very majestically collapses under the turret.
Majestic.
Hey, you got a free recall. That's value there. It's for Long. 35 seconds left. Should be back in time as M3 may be considering Baron with Long getting himself picked off there, but Dada's busy farming. He'll go back in shop. Everyone's getting stronger here in M3. We look back up, almost 10,000 gold ahead in this game. 3 Dragons up, double buffs for SMLZ. It's go time for M3.
It was relatively, what's what I'm looking for? Advantageous, the fact, or for unlimited potential, the fact that Long decided to execute himself there, that M3 weren't in position to look towards securing an objective. And likewise, unlimited potential did the good thing. They walked over into the Baron pit and they made sure that they put down their vision.
Amy as well, again trying to find some space. Looks like Skatch's going to go back and get finally his 2 items, but SMLZ working towards a Bloodthirster and almost completed it as Phantom Dance is actually the choice for Skatch. I like it. He needs damage. He knows that if we're going to win this game, it's going to go late, so I'm just going to set my item build there. But we said already, that static shift great for wave clear that UP are sorely lacking.
Well, he's also not the big damage that it's really Dottie at this point, so by adding more just flat AD, he's there for pushing down towers.
Oh, SMLZ is absolutely, but Skatch is kind of like,
that guy.
I need damage to team, but my team eventually gets to a point where we can win as Dade 4 levels above Hart finds Long there as well. Condi's also into the mix as Love City's flanking around. SMLZ's popped his ulti. Dade's actually dead. Skatch getting good damage and a nice collapse here for UP. Gives Long a double. SMLZ, they're caught out of position. That's a flash forward as Looper going to try and save his carries once again. But Hart, he's diving in aggressive. SMLZ not quite dead yet. Kites around, but he can't get it done. Looper tried so hard to make it work. Actually kills Skatch and keeps going through. Condi and Looper, the Bash Bros once again. UP can't do anything. They're just too tanky. Long dives back in. He's going to go down. That's a double kill for Rek'Sai. They can see Amy with the borrowed Rek'Sai there as well. Punished. Not enough damage to clean it up. Looper finds a sapling. Amy will just live. And somehow we trade 3 for 3.
I feel like I've seen this exact same thing before as Condi. Still looking for it.
Yeah, good block from Punish actually on the pre-seek. That might have just killed Amy, given how squishy that Evelyn is. But yeah, I remember game 1. I think I've seen this movie as well. And the sequel is not good for Unlimited Potential.
Unlimited Potential, again, they find Master 3. They saw that Looper was on the opposite side of the map, so they decide to commit to it. Unfortunately, they burn everything. All of their resources in a numbers disadvantage, or I guess a numbers advantage for themselves. And then when Looper and Condi show up, there's nothing left to take down this tree.
I mean, a gold lead once again. If that had been a closer fight, Looper is not that tanky and actually wouldn't have been able to do that. But the lead that M3 have already built for themselves mean that maybe a misstep or two there in that team fight doesn't cost them too much. In fact, they somehow get a trade.
The Bash brothers.
That's why Condi, this massively tanky Rek'Sai and Looper on a big tanky tree, even has a locket actually for himself to try and shake off some of the Evelynn and Kassadin damage. Double locket actually completed for M3.
Hopefully M3 don't make a positional error like that again, because that could have spelled disaster if that had gone well.
Oh, Heart getting picked off instead. Speaking of positional errors,
I was just going to say.
Gets himself a kill.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for Unlimited Potential, it wasn't a massive member of their fight. They still have their wave clear available in the Coling because Sketch is still alive. Likewise, their jungler didn't get picked off, so can't immediately transition that into the Baron.
Not just yet, but they're thinking about it by the looks of things. Have good Baron damage again. Dade's current champion pool really does encourage them to have good, fast Baron damage. So not pulling the trigger just yet. Death Timer maybe not quite as long as they would have liked, but Dade, he is mowing down waves. Defensive wave clip, maybe not so much, but if he's pushing aggressively, the Abyssal Scepter especially, and the Sork Shoes, means that Dade with the 4-stack Tides of Bloods rips through minion waves, and so does Sivir.
Well, what Unlimited Potential are doing here is they see the resources that M3 have committed to the top lane, so they're trying to trade 1-for-1 even for this mid lane tower. It's still superior for Masters 3 because it's a second-tier tower versus a first-tier tower, possibly more.
Yeah, looks like more actually, as Hart going to try and run off SMLZ, but Looper's down here. Condi getting stunned. He's tanking the turret. Ulti's not bad, but Hart actually going to get aggressed on. Looper dives in. Hart's going to die again by the looks of things. Almost gets taken out by Ricochet as Conde takes him out. And he's tanking so much turret damage. Punish gets grabbed and taken out. Amy's around the side. Finally gets the kill and a shutdown, I believe. But Looper gets another with the Twisted Advance. Dade's hanging out saying, hey guys, what's going on? And it turns out M3 4-for-1 and a broken base.
And all you really need to look at is the fact that Hecarim wasn't there for that team fight. The Onslaught of Shadows is still up. Long kind of looked at the side of that fight. He's like, maybe, nah, never mind.
No, and M3 actually might find themselves just trying to win this game. Long gonna dive back in. Looper's gonna find him, knocks him back with the Arcane Smash. Dade's taking up the turrets, uses his ulti finally, but SMLZ comes in. Looper locks him down again. Damage is there as Dade claims his kill. Goes into pool. Heart's back as well. Seen this before as Heart's like, yeah, don't really fancy it. Gonna try and peel them off the Nexus, but M3 get the much needed 2-0.
And the question was, who is going to be the consistent backbone of Masters 3, because they had so many different threats across the team on their roster. And Looper, back-to-back, comes up huge.
Yeah, comes up absolutely massive there. And I mean, he was very tanky in those games. 2 different times where him and Condi teamed up, the Bash brothers, and just ran UP around and around in circles. But we talk about consistency. That was about as consistent as M3 has looked, at least recently, and those 3 points are precious early on in the season.
It's like he's a world champion or something
like
that. I know.
Where's this Looper been? This is the same Looper that only a week ago dived a Gnar as a Hecarim and got himself killed in the tower dive, coining the full Looper. But he's back to form, at least for that series, and he looked wonderful.
And Masters 3 are looking more cohesive as a team in general. Love CD with some impressive